Jamal Walker is an ordinary guy working full-time at a theme park known as Medieval World. The park's owner is anxious about its future since business has been struggling. To make matters worse, a rival attraction called Castle World is about to open right next door. Without new ideas, Medieval World could soon face bankruptcy. One afternoon, Jamal is assigned to clean the moat surrounding the park. While working, he spots a shiny medallion in the water that looks valuable. As he tries to grab it, Jamal slips and falls in. Though the water is shallow, he ends up drowning. When he emerges, he realizes he's no longer in the park. Assuming he must have somehow wandered into Castle World, he has no clue that he's actually been transported back to 14th century England. The first person he encounters is a drunk man named Canalta. Even though the stranger is dressed in old-fashioned clothes, Jamal believes he's just another actor in costume. Ignoring him, Jamal walks into town and finds a huge castle, which he assumes is Castle World's main attraction. When he tries to enter, guards stop him and ask where he's from. Jamal answers Normandy. He means Normandy from LA, but the guards mistake him for a French Moor they were expecting. They let him in, and Jamal steps into a bustling medieval market. He's amazed by how authentic everything looks. Still unaware he's living in the real 1300s, suddenly he spots a stunning woman named Victoria. Jamal goes over to flirt, but they're interrupted by the arrogant commander Percal. He acts as if he owns every woman in town just because he's part of the royal guard. His pride is wounded when Jamal stops him from getting too close to Victoria. Jamal even threatens to report him to the manager for his behavior. Perl draws his sword, but Jamal, thinking it's a prop, stands his ground, impressing everyone with his unexpected courage. Afterward, a stranger takes Jamal to meet the king. The king explains that his daughter, Princess Regina, is set to marry the Duke of Normandy, and assumes Jamal is the Duke's messenger. Jamal, confused but playing along, randomly gives a date for the Duke's arrival. Later that day, Jamal is brought outside to witness a public execution. Thinking it's just part of the show, he watches with excitement until he picks up the severed head of the executed rebel. The gruesome reality hits him so hard that he faints on the spot. When Jamal wakes up, he finds himself inside a room with Victoria by his side. Around his neck hangs the same medallion he discovered in the ditch, which makes her believe he belongs to her people. She reveals her own medallion identical to his. It turns out the symbol represents a secret group of rebels who have grown tired of the king's brutal reign. He unjustly dethroned the former queen and executed countless innocents for speaking against him. The rebellion's goal is to overthrow the tyrant and restore the rightful queen to power. Still dazed, Jamal asks what year it is and learns that it's 1328 AD. The revelation sends him into a panic. He desperately wants to return home but has no idea how. Their conversation is cut short when a guard arrives to invite them on a horseback outing. Jamal, completely clueless about riding, ends up entertaining everyone with his ridiculous technique. Even the king finds his antics amusing and later invites him to a royal banquet. The gathering starts off dull, but Jamal livens things up with his energetic dance moves from the future. The crowd joins in, and soon the palace is buzzing with laughter and music. In the middle of the chaos, Princess Regina pulls Jamal aside and unexpectedly kisses him. She's been flirting with him since his arrival, but never dared make a move in front of her father. Perl spots them and is furious at Jamal's boldness. At that very moment, two rebels attempt to attack the king. Acting on instinct, Jamal swings from a chandelier and crashes into the king, accidentally saving his life. When the chaos ends, Percal is scolded for negligence while Jamal is celebrated and promoted to head of security. Consumed by jealousy, Percal seethes in silence, forced to accept the king's decision. As the new head of security, Jamal receives several new duties. He even proposes rebuilding the castle's entrance in his own image, claiming it will scare off intruders. Before the idea can be approved, the king summons him for a serious matter. A farmer has been caught stealing a turnip from the royal garden. Although he did it to feed his starving family, the king demands execution. Jamal, being in charge, is ordered to carry out the punishment. Once the king leaves, Jamal secretly releases the poor man and gives him money for food. Later that night, Jamal requests the presence of the finest chambermaid for his entertainment. He chooses Victoria, using the excuse to speak with her privately. Victoria urges him to join the rebellion and help them assassinate the king. But after witnessing the king's cruelty firsthand, Jamal wants nothing to do with bloodshed. He insists he isn't the right man for the mission. Disappointed and angry, Victoria calls him a coward before storming out. At midnight, a mysterious woman sneaks into Jamal's chamber and sleeps with him. Believing she's Victoria, Jamal doesn't question a thing. By morning, the real messenger from Normandy arrives, exposing Jamal's entire act. The king storms into his room with the messenger and guards, only to find Jamal naked beside Princess Regina. Perl immediately accuses him of defiling the princess. Jamal insists that someone else had already picked her flower, but no one takes him seriously. The messenger, disgusted, cancels the royal marriage on the spot since Regina is no longer worthy of becoming a duchess. With the scandal rocking the kingdom, Jamal is thrown into the dungeon and sentenced to be executed alongside the two captured rebels. The dark cell. Jamal befriends the rebels who have already accepted their fate. They tell him the legend of the Black Knight, a fearless warrior who fought for justice and could not be bribed by gold or power. During one epic battle, the knight was swallowed whole by a dragon. Armed with a sword made of gold, he cut his way out of the beast and slew it from within. Ever since, people believed he could breathe fire himself. The following day, the three prisoners are brought before a roaring crowd for execution. Panicking, Jamal declares that he's a powerful wizard from the future who can burn everyone alive. To prove it, he flicks his lighter, but it refuses to spark. Just as the executioner prepares to behead him, the man suddenly begins choking on an apple. The crowd gasps, believing Jamal has cursed him. Playing along, Jamal waves his hands dramatically as if casting more spells. Moments later, a fire erupts nearby, confirming his powers in the eyes of the onlookers. In truth, it's the rebels outside launching flaming arrows to rescue their comrades. Amid the chaos, Jamal and the others escape with Victoria's help. On the way out, Jamal reunites with Noel, the same drunkard he met when he first arrived. This time, Canalta rides in proudly on horseback. Jamal learns that Na was once a legendary knight who served the former queen before the tyrant king dethroned her. Disgraced and broken, he had turned to drink, but deep down, the warrior spirit in him never died. After spending time with the rebel group, Jamal finally understands their cause and decides to fight alongside them to overthrow the king. Later in the forest, he spots three men bullying Nulta. Jamal jumps in to help but is quickly overpowered. That's when Nulta snaps out of his stupor, picks up his sword, and defeats the attackers with renewed strength. Reawakened and determined, he vows to join Jamal and the rebels in their mission to reclaim the kingdom. Jamal and Na return to the rebel settlement only to find it in ruins. Perl and his army have ravaged the place and taken Victoria captive. Despair fills the air, and it seems all hope is lost until the former queen steps out of hiding. She reveals she's been among them the entire time, secretly guiding and supporting their cause. Over the next few days, the group regains its strength and begins planning a smarter, stronger counterattack. Drawing from his knowledge of the future, Jamal teaches the rebels unconventional tactics inspired by American football and professional wrestling. His modern strategies give the unarmed villagers a fighting chance. Meanwhile, Canalta trains Jamal in basic swordsmanship, preparing him for the battle ahead. When the day of reckoning arrives, the rebels gather their courage and march toward the castle. Nulta leads the charge, but within minutes they are surrounded by Percal soldiers. The odds are overwhelming and the group is pushed back. Then suddenly, the battlefield erupts in chaos as the legendary Black Knight charges in, breathing fire and terrifying the king's men. The rebels cheer, thinking the mythical warrior has returned to save them, until the knight tumbles off his horse, revealing that it's Jamal behind the mask. Perl seizes the chance to finish him, but Na leaps in to protect Jamal. A fierce clash breaks out as rebels and guards fight across the castle grounds. Using Jamal's creative football tactics, the commoners outsmart the royal soldiers and start to gain the upper hand. Amid the mayhem, the frightened king pleads with Perl to escort him to safety. Seeing his ruler's cowardice, Percal finally snaps. When the king tries to command him, Percal shouts for him to stay silent and shoves him off the castle wall into the moat below. Victory seems close, but tragedy strikes when Perl fires a long bow and fatally wounds Nulta. He then grabs Victoria as a hostage. Jamal rushes to her defense, wielding the very sword-fighting skills Nula taught him. The two men duel fiercely, but Jamal's determination prevails. He defeats Percal and frees Victoria. As he lifts her from the ground, Percal, barely alive, rises once more to strike. Before he can land the blow, a final arrow pierces his chest, fired by the wounded but still breathing Nulta. The rebels emerge victorious, and Jamal becomes a hero across the kingdom. Weeks later, the queen officially knights him as the new Black Knight before he bids farewell to Victoria, with one last heartfelt kiss. Moments later, Jamal wakes up in the modern world surrounded by paramedics and co-workers. They explain he nearly drowned in the ditch and had been unconscious ever since. It might sound like a dream, but Jamal knows better. Before the accident, he had planned to quit medieval world for a higher paying job at the rival castle world. Now everything has changed. Armed with genuine experience from the past, he shares new ideas to improve the park's theme. His innovations make Medieval World a massive success, even overshadowing Castle World's grand opening. 6 weeks later, while strolling through the park, Jamal meets a woman named Nicole, who looks exactly like Victoria. She says he seems familiar, and they hit it off instantly. But just as she leaves with her nephew, Jamal realizes he forgot to ask for her number. He runs after her but slips and falls into the ditch once again. This time he wakes up in the middle of the Colosseum of ancient Rome, face to face with roaring lions.